Wow. But I didn't do that.
Your favourite girls over from each other.
Ready.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Wonderful. And to our friends online, forgive me for murdering your languages. Kol Puski, Glab Pusk, Klos Pasa. There you go. Big warm welcome to our Easter Sunday service here at your church, Paul Christian Spiritualist Church. Great delight to welcome a wonderful emissary for the spirit world today.
The nameless one.
Mr. Stephen Mager. My mind has gone slightly. I'm getting old. I've come to that conclusion. I've turned 21. I'm getting old. So thank you very much for pointing that out. Stephen, we look forward to your work today. Big, huge warm welcome to everybody here. And as I always remind you, you have not come here to watch Stephen. Stephen is working with the individual energies, the presences, your loved ones, those guides, those philosophers that you bring to this church. So without you here, we cannot have each of these unique events. So in that spirit, in that energy, I would like to invite Stephen to unite us all with the opening prayer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If you'd like to join me in the silence. Divine and gracious Spirit, who we call God, we join together this morning to celebrate the love and the life of Spirit, and especially the love and the life of the Spirit we know as Jesus. We ask this morning that our loved ones draw near us, that we are protected and guided and inspired by those loved ones, that they share with us proof of their survival in the spirit world, and the evidence that we are spirit here on earth, and that we have guidance from higher beings who wish to see our movement and our life move forward in love, healing, and in the glory that comes with the spiritual knowledge. And I ask that all that's said and done this morning be in that love, light, and healing. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Stephen. And now, if you care to, please join in with saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Before we move into our healing meditation, I would just like to invite everybody here that during this time of contemplation and meditation, if there is anybody in particular whose name you wish to put into the energy of today, just raise your hand. When I point at you, just simply call out their name. So this healing meditation time, guided by music, is a time when we can link in with our own power, our own energy, our own presence, and send out healing. And healing is otherwise known as love. Love is the biggest conveyor of that healing energy. For if we truly love without condition, that is healing. So during this time, send out your thoughts to wherever you are drawn. To the environment, to the animal kingdom, to the natural world, to our friends, our families, to those people that sometimes bring challenge to our lives also. So we will go into that healing time now. And as I say, if there's anybody in particular you would wish to add that name to this combined energy that you are generating here today, simply do that. Divine and infinite Spirit, we give thanks for this time where we can exercise that art of healing and remind us to and keep it in our thoughts that we do not need to be in a special place. We do not need to be at a special time. Healing is available throughout each and every day and night of our life. Just by sending out that thought, healing will be given in accordance with the needs. Amen. We move on. We have two pieces of music today, so we move on to our first piece of music, which is When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. If you wish to sing along, please do. Listen, absolutely fine. I'd now like to hand over to Stephen for his reading and philosophy for today. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. My reading is actually going to be a dissection of the Lord's Prayer, in a way, because we're here for Easter, and it's about the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we know of Jesus from the Holy Bible, which is in two parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The New Testament being more about the life of Jesus. And the Old Testament talks much about a coming Messiah. Now, the Holy Bible is a collection of books. It's a library. The Holy Bible is not a history book or a science book, but it deals with history and science in different ways. And it has been translated and changed many times over. And so I went on a path of discovery with the Bible, because I found that through these councils, ecumenical councils, they removed certain books and they changed certain things, and there's been things lost in translation and added to it. And many people will cast the Bible aside because of this. It's not in its original language, and it's not in its complete state. And it can be questioned by science as well. But it can also be confirmed by it. You see, we work with a quite simple science and spiritualism. We test things and we ask for evidence. And when we get guidance from the spirit world, we put it out there. And then we find out that it was true on reflection. So evidence in mediumship is something given that the person may not know, and later they find out that it was true. And that's a prophecy. And the Bible is a collection of books about prophets. Because they come to the earth, they develop their spirituality, they have dreams and visions and mediumship, as we call it. And it's discovered many years later that they were true and accurate. But at the time they're given, on the whole, the prophets are rejected, cast out, and even killed for what they're saying. Because what they're saying disrupts the political narrative of the time. And such is what happened with Jesus. So we find out that those prophets prophesied something and it became true. So it's a sort of method, a sort of science that we use in spiritualism to give evidence from our loved ones. They give information, that information is taken, and sometimes it's not, but it's found out later that it was accurate. And so even as mediums, we're surprised at what we give, and we get confidence that the spirit world is not only intelligent, it's loving as well, and it gives guidance. So the Bible becomes a reference and a guide. So through the Bible it begins with 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers and Deuteronomy. And in there are laws and commandments, 613 of them altogether, not just 10. And they talk about coming Messiah. So when Jesus came to the earth, he was a teacher, a rabbi, and he was putting right some of the mistakes that people had made on the original 5 books. And so there may be things in those 5 books that you read, one of them that you shouldn't be a medium or seek one out. And Jesus was a medium, and he put them right. And he tried to show them that it was true. And so these people, the Pharisees and Sadducees, who had tried to apply these laws to the people, were being told how they had made their mistake and their errors. And Jesus tried to show them how it was supposed to be. And they didn't like it, and so they crucified him. But he was then resurrected. And this story should show us that the human soul can resurrect, that there is no death, that the soul is eternal. That's the greatest teaching of the resurrection of Jesus. But it also shows the human nature and our problems and the things that make us, when we get into groups of people, we argue and bicker, we can't help it. And everyone's got their perspective of the law and they try to impose it on others. And this is where war begins. And so it's quite human nature. It's human nature to reject those teachers that tell us that it should be about love and compassion, when really we're just trying to pay the bills. We're trying to get through life, and we're pretty blinkered by social conformity and things like that. So the story of Jesus, the Messiah, culminates where the Israelites, either rejected him or accepted him. And the Israelites that rejected him, we now know as the Jewish people. And then the ones who accepted them, we know as the Christian people. And even Christianity, after 1,000 odd years, in 1054, 1052, I forget, there was a schism in Christianity, and they went off into the Orthodox and Roman Catholic. And then even in England, there was a schism, thanks to Henry VIII, and we went to Protestant and Catholic. And there are many schisms. And in Islam, there's a schism over Sunni and Shia. In every religion, there's this schism, because people start debating and arguing over what happened and how to interpret it. So we've gone through this Bible, and culminating in the life and the death and resurrection of Jesus. And one of the lessons we have to learn from that, from the teachings of Jesus, what did he teach us? What was his philosophy? What should we listen to in hindsight? Because a few hundred years later, they realised that Jesus was correct in much of what he said, and he was prophesying, and he was a prophet. So they had to accept his teachings, and Christianity was accepted through Constantine and the Roman Empire. So some of the teachings of Jesus is always about forgiveness. And one of the main teachings was he taught his disciples how to pray. So there are two versions of the Lord's Prayer in the Bible. One comes from the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew, and it's quite long and in its fullness. And then he gives a shorter one to his disciples in Luke. So he's demonstrating that prayer is changeable. It doesn't always have to be exactly the same way. It's got to be suitable for the moment. There's the Sermon on the Mount, and then there's the private teachings with his closest friends. So I'm going to sort of break down the Lord's Prayer from the Sermon on the Mount. And it begins with Our Father. Jesus was putting all of us on an equal footing underneath this God force that we call God, or this great spirit. It's our Father, not his Father, not your Father. That all life is equal. And he uses the term Father, and for many of us, especially in spiritualism, which is quite a feminine movement, we find that language a little bit difficult. But Jesus was a teacher, a rabbi, and he taught in metaphysical language quite often. So there's hidden meaning, both in what he gave and in the rest of the Bible. You have to learn things like Kabbalah, astrology, the elements. And you also have to have your own life experience to apply to it. When they use the term Father, he's talking about light, because light is the active principle that creates life. Space is the feminine principle that allows light to create life. It's that feminine principle that imposes laws on creation. And light is limited by its speed, because the laws of creation limit it. So it's not as all-powerful, but we are being provoked to think about ourselves as beings of light. And whether you want to break that down into the chakras for meditation, or when you want to think that we can communicate through invisible forces of light, such as radio, telephone, and television. We're being provoked to see that light within us. It doesn't mean that there isn't a mother, it's just we're being provoked to think of that active principle rather than the passive one. Because life is about activity, it's about getting up in the morning and doing something. And he says, Our Father who art in heaven. And again, you can interpret that in many ways, but heaven is a state of mind. It's a positivity. It's not in the bowels of hell, but it's in the heavens above. So he's trying to provoke you to think higher, to put that God force within you, in all of us, at a higher level. And then he says, Hallowed be thy name. Seeing as that God force is within you, that God force, that name is your name. The name given to you by your mother and father is holy. It is how you are known by people who love you. And it's how the spirit world know you as well. Spiritualism, we have naming ceremonies where you can be given a spirit name. But again, that name is holy, but so is the name given to you by your parents. It's called your Christian name. So that name is holy. And thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. It's talking about the law of correspondence, as above, so below. And there's so many examples you can see. But we talk about spiritual principles that play themselves out in material events, as above, so below. If you study the energy of an atom or a cell, a molecule, it's the same energy you see around the human aura. It's the same energy you see in a magnetic field around a planet, a moon, a star, or even a galaxy. They follow the same principles of energy. And it is all about energy, as above, so below. Give us this day our daily bread. This one took a while for me to understand. So many of us think it's just for hungry people to get their daily intake of food and nutrition. But Jesus was a Kabbalist. He was teaching metaphysics. And bread is made up of different elements through an alchemical process. Flour represents earth, your physical life. Water, emotions. Oil is the hormones of the body that provoke different thoughts. Then we add yeast, which creates air, helps it rise. And yeast can be compared to knowledge and experience. It takes time to ferment, for you to grow and rise. And then we put these together into the oven, which is fire. Fire are the trials and tribulations of life that give us that experience, but it's also the love, warmth and compassion of your family and your friends. And this culminates into something that is nutritious and feeds the family. Bread is the culmination of all these alchemical processes, and every day we're given an opportunity to go through that. Every day we get another chance, an opportunity to be reborn, rise again, be resurrected. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday. And says daily because there is no past or future. They're all happening now. There is only ever the present moment. Tomorrow is the present moment. Yesterday was the present moment. So you're always compelled. Things can change now. You don't have to wait for a time in the future. You can change your life in any given moment. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 10 minutes ago. I change constantly, and so do we all. And then Jesus says, forgive us our sins and trespasses as we forgive those who sin and trespass against us. And you'll probably notice that we didn't use the word sin in the Lord's Prayer earlier. But you see there's a difference between a sin and a trespass. A sin is something you do to yourself, and a trespass is what you do to someone else. If you hold yourself back, if you won't get out of bed in the morning and you're too scared to do something, you're not going to grow. But when you do that to someone else, when you stop someone else's growth, that's a trespass. But you see, when you offend yourself in your own name, you're affecting that God force within you, you're denying it. And that is a sin. But a sin really, it was an archery term in the old kingdom for when you slightly missed the mark. You didn't quite hit the bullseye. That's all it meant. So a sin, you let yourself down a little bit, but it's okay because you forgive yourself and you forgive others. Jesus used that word twice in that sentence. I don't think he repeats himself often. He does it for a reason, because forgiveness is all that really matters. And when you forgive yourself and others, you'll grow incredibly, and you'll produce a transformed human being, one that's been resurrected from the old person to the new person. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. So we are tempted every day. We're tempted by that negative emotion that rises up within all of us every time. And we can look at the teachings of Jesus and the life of Jesus, and even he had a negative emotion once in a while. There's stories of him as a child learning from his mistakes. And then there's also the story we've all heard where he got angry in the temple at the moneylenders and he acted out. And we even go back to the Old Testament. At some point, David picked up a stone and took down Goliath. And every now and then we need to take action. Maybe not in a violent way, but from those stories we know that there isn't anything so big that it can't be conquered by the least of us. That all of us have the potential to overcome the most difficult things in our lives. things that may seem so big and so monstrous. But we all have something within us that can overcome it. And deliver us from the evil one. Well, I think it's quite simple, really. We all have an ego, and it can be a negative ego, and all of us have to watch it. You know that saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's a bit of an anticlimax. And if you follow the story of the people of the book, it's a series of anticlimaxes, one after the other. Life goes on, and I always remember Linford Christie won a gold medal at the 1992 Olympic Games, and I was listening to an interview with him, and he spoke to his mother the morning after, and she started having a go at him because he did something wrong or said something wrong, and he's like, I'm the fastest man on the planet, gold medal winner at the Olympic Games, and I still got to take it from my mother. There's nothing that won't humble you in this life. We have to go through it over and over again. And that evil one is just that devil on one shoulder, angel on the other. It's that negative emotion that we have to overcome. And the Lord's Prayer helps us do that. In Islam, you have the Shahada, which is similar to the Lord's Prayer, and that also includes us protect us from Shaitan, or Satan. It's not some horrible devil out there ready to throw his fork down on us. It's that negative emotion all of us suffer with. No matter how enlightened you are, you're going to have that negative emotion. As long as you are flesh and blood and you have those hormones running through your body, you're going to react to stimulus. And we ask for protection from that in this prayer. And for thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. That is taken straight from the Kabbalah. There is a prayer in Kabbalah which is translated into that ending of the Lord's Prayer. Jesus was a rabbi. He taught from the Jewish scriptures, from the Hebrew doctrine. But this is an ancient philosophy given to the Jews from a time long before, which is lost into the mists of time. But it's an ancient wisdom that's been passed down from lip to ear, from teacher to student, from Jesus to his disciples. And we use it still to this day in our churches, in our Christian churches, in our spiritualist churches as well. And although a spiritualist prayer is shortened slightly and changed, that's okay, because Jesus also taught a shortened and varied version of a prayer. So he showed you that allowing yourself just to use your own intuition and say a prayer that came from the heart rather than a book is equally as important. But there's two types of prayer. There's a petition and a mantra. A mantra such as, I am the light, I am the resurrection. He wasn't saying that because he was the light and resurrection. He's giving you a mantra to say every day. I am the light, I am the resurrection. I can be born again at any moment. I can start fresh and make my life positive, no matter how negative it's been. There are many mantras. If you go to the east, there's Om Mani Padme Hum. And you repeat it over and over again. It puts you into a altered state of consciousness so you can receive divine inspiration. And it also, when you repeat a pattern over and over again, it's like life. You go back over the same thing again and again, but each time you learn something new. You grow a little bit as a person. Monday morning always rolls around no matter what you do. You're just lucky that there's a bank holiday every now and then. But we repeat these patterns over and over. And eventually we learn something. And we have a revelation internally. A gnosis wells up within us, and we see something in a new light, in a new way. And we grow. And then you try and tell everyone who haven't had the same revelation, and they won't understand you. But it's yours to have. And I have mantras. Don't punch people is a good one, because no matter how angry you get. But sometimes when you have this little motto and you repeat it over and over again, that's a mantra. And then there's the prayers that you typically hear for healing, where we're asking for guidance for healing for a person or a situation. So when you look at the Lord's Prayer or the Shahada or many other prayers, they are both a petition and a mantra at the same time. So I would like you to reflect on the Lord's Prayer, how much knowledge and wisdom is hidden within it if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. You have to do your studies though. You've got to know your astrology, your Kabbalah, your elements. But more importantly, you have to have your life experience. You have to engage with people to learn things. And sometimes, for me, my greatest motto, my greatest mantra is be kind to unkind people, no matter what. And I fall short quite often, but I'm getting better at it every time I practice it. And every time we say the Lord's Prayer, let's hope that we're all inspired in different ways, that different words speak to us. And I was very lucky because I lost my eyesight for a short period of time last Easter. And I was listening to these evangelists on the Sky channels that, 1,200 whatever. And I love listening to these prophets in Africa and across the world. And they're dealing with revelation and prophecy all the time. Some of them make a lot of sense and some of them make me laugh. But in that time I was in a period of darkness. And I was given this mantra of the Lord's Prayer to go over and over in my head. I was listening to all these Easter services because I couldn't watch them. And I suddenly realised there was all this hidden wisdom. And I'd only discovered this hidden wisdom because I'd done all this study previously. And this little smile went over my face as I remembered when my mum taught me the Lord's Prayer at about 6 years old. Because I haven't always been very spiritual, and I found myself in some very dark places. And the Lord's Prayer just rolled off the tongue. I was taught it once by my mother and I never forgot it. I've only added to my knowledge of it, but it has saved me and protected me in some very difficult situations. And people say, well, maybe it was just psychology. You put yourself into a positive state of mind. Well, yes, it was given to us to do that. It was given to us so that we could always ask for protection. We could always ask for blessings, guidance and inspiration, not just for ourselves, but all creation. Forgive us our sins and trespasses as we forgive those who sin and trespass against us. So if someone falls short and they offend you or offend themselves, we've been told by one of the greatest teachers to forgive them. And so Easter is a time when we reflect on that. We reflect on the fact that springtime is the time of new birth and new growth. The symbol of the egg is one of the greatest symbols of fertility. It's about a new dawn, a new day. So what I'd like to do is leave you with a very ancient practice. It's a meditation of sorts, but it's been practiced even by the ancient Egyptians, who had 4 different names for the sun. The morning sun in springtime was called Horus, and in summer at noon it was Ra. In autumn at sunset it was called Set or Seti, and at midnight in winter it was Osiris. And in a sort of Christian tradition we have in springtime the Archangel Raphael. In summer it's Michael. In autumn it's Gabriel, and then in the evening it's Uriel. And we're asked to do a meditation where we picture ourselves at dawn in springtime and think of all the life, the new dawn and abundance that comes with that. The lambs and the chicks and all the images you have of Easter. Because it's a new dawn, it's a new day. You are the light. You are the resurrection. So this time of year, this is what we're being asked to dwell on. We're asked to give ourselves a new opportunity for a new life, a new way of thinking. We're always moving forward. And in the Bible, Jesus told his disciples that a future generation will do greater works than he did. He was a healer, he was a medium, he was a philosopher. And in spiritualism, we are growing as healers, mediums and philosophers. In the last century, we saw some of the greatest mediums and healers that ever lived. 2 examples are Gordon Higginson, one of the greatest mediums. It wasn't easy for him. From a young age, his mother was testing his abilities so that he would be a fine medium when he was older, and he proved to be. It's well documented. as a physical medium, as a platform mental medium, as president of an organisation, but also as a healer. And then we had Harry Edwards, who's the most documented healer of all time. He changed the way we see healing. He made it so it could be accepted by science. Jesus gave the authority for us to go and do greater works than he. And we've seen in the last century that we've taken that and we've moved forward with it. And future generations, especially these lovely children here, will do greater works than we could possibly imagine. So keep that focus and that energy this Easter. Be thankful for the life and the resurrection of Jesus, but also for yourselves, because I'm sure all of you have been born again many times over, otherwise you wouldn't be here. We've learned our lessons, we've grown, and we know that we're going to keep learning our lessons and keep growing. But we have this guidance and inspiration to fall back on. In times of dark, in times of need, we have a prayer that I've found very useful, and it was given by one of the greatest teachers. So have a lovely Easter and think of yourselves as the resurrection and the light. Thank you.
Stephen, anything I say now will seem trite. Absolutely beautiful. You know that you have worked to the highest and the best when people are taking notes of your address within the congregation. I'd remind you also too that you can re-watch that address through the marvels of technology on our Facebook page, and that certainly is one to revisit. There was so much information in there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. I just want to go home now. However, we now have our second piece of music. Jesus Christ is risen today.
Jesus Christ is risen today. Hallelujah. A triumphant holy day. Hallelujah. Who did once upon the cross? Hallelujah. Suffer to redeem our loss. Hallelujah. Hymns of praise then let us sing. Hallelujah. Unto Christ our heavenly King. Hallelujah. Who endured the cross and grave. Hallelujah. Sinners to redeem and save. Hallelujah. But the pains that he endured. Hallelujah. Our salvation had procured. Hallelujah. Now above the sky is King. Hallelujah. Where the angels ever sing. Hallelujah.
People often laugh at my singing. Thank you, darlings. I'll now hand over to Stephen for the demonstration evidential mediumship. As always, we ask you, this is a two-way conversation. If you pick up your phone at home and go, I bet you not a lot of people phone you, all right? Join in with the conversation. Be a part of it, because it is for you. Stephen, sir.
Thank you. It's a great analogy of the telephone. I always think of a medium as the only phone at the airport in the afterlife, and all the loved ones are trying to use the same phone at the same time. And it might not be the best phone in the world, but I'll see in my mind, hear in my mind, feel in my being, and quite often I'll see, feel and hear 2 or 3 different people, but I think it's only one. So I'm not perfect, and it's your response, and you're going to know your loved ones. So you'll know if I've got mum and dad and mum is talking, dad is showing himself, or the other way around. It's quite common, but generally we always get to where we need to go and what they need to say. And it's usually fairly simple. They love you, they miss you, you've got nothing to worry about, and hopefully they can really show themselves and get that confirmation that it's them for you to understand. So I need to sort of talk and get going while I connect with someone, but I've got a motherly energy coming in very close to me, and she feels, this lady is a very mixed bag of emotions. She's a very strong lady, but it's the word I want to use. She can seem like 2 different people. And I feel like I know where I'm going with this lady, but I want to bring her in a little bit closer. She's quite a dominant figure, she's showing me. Quite a large lady, and I'm saying that with respect, because I just feel she was a lovely lady, and feeding everyone was, if someone's got food in their belly, they've been looked after. And so she would have been a feeder. Okay, she's been very down to earth with me. I want to go over to the 2 ladies over there. As she's one in the green top there. She's drawing me to you. Quite possible. All right. She's saying to me, you never answered her a straight answer, and she never answered a straight question either. You know, it's there was a lot of banter. She probably wouldn't have used that word, but you could go back and forth with each other. She's saying you've always respected her as mum, but there was this equal footing with each other, which came later in life, she's saying. Okay. She's telling me you were quite studious, but struggled a little bit. And she's saying that she felt really bad because you got that from me. Okay, yes. Right? And she made up for it quite poorly in certain ways because she didn't want to feel silly. So she would, the way she's saying to me, she would interject with someone and take off to a different conversation because she didn't know about the subject. And she wished she didn't do that. She's telling me, you don't do that, you're a listener. You actually listen to people and take it in. Okay. She's very proud of you as well. I don't know if she had a heart condition because I've just got this flutter, but it might also be a love for you. But this fluttering in my heart, I don't really like giving physical conditions, so I'm not diagnosing anything. But she's saying, I don't know if you struggled a little bit recently, but you've overcome it. Okay. She's talking about a gentleman, and I don't know if you've got a brother.
Yes.
Okay, right. So she's talking about this young gentleman. She very fond of him. Mummy's boy. Okay, like, all of us are really, and so she's saying you were expected to be very formal and understand things easily, whereas she might have nurtured him a little bit more than she should have done, and she's very grateful that he grew into a fine young man and not just a way. She's been quite blunt, a mummy's boy. Because she would have quite happily kept him as a little boy all the time. She loved that. And she maybe feels that she expected you to grow up a bit too quickly. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Okay. But do you understand the food as well? Do you understand the food? She's always feeding people, you know. She eat something and then we'll talk. You know, this was her way. She feels that as long as she's given you some food, you've eaten, now we can talk. That was an important thing to her. It was part of her nurturing, but she's also telling me it made her put a few pounds on, because for every 2 bites you had, she had one. She was cooking for everyone and constantly eating, and and she makes me feel that it was a bit of a detriment to her. Okay, but she's a lady and she doesn't want to talk too much about her figure. Okay, right. But she was always quite a smartly dressed lady, and she's making me feel that although she wasn't like a big figure in the community, she knew quite a lot of people and she went to all these events. I don't know if she was quite in the WI or anything like that, but I do feel quite a social. She forced herself to be social, because I'm also feeling with her that apprehension, that shyness, and there were days when she didn't leave the house and she should have done. I'm seeing her at the window as well. She's just pulling the curtains to one side, looking down the street, and she's saying, if only she just went over and talked to them. Okay. Was there a neighbour across the road that she had a lifelong, not confrontation with, but it feels to me like she's met this other lady in the spirit world, and they're like this now, and she feels she knew this lady really well because she watched her life from the window, but didn't talk to her as much as she should have done. And she's telling me as well that you go out your way to talk to people. Okay. Well, maybe it's similar. You've gone over the road to a neighbour and introduced yourself, because she's saying she was encouraging that because she realised how much that held her back in life. Okay. And she's loving the little children in the family at the moment. Told there's some new life on the way. I don't like predicting things. Okay, so I don't know if it's. She's saying there's a granddaughter on the way, and there's a lot of joy over this. Okay. All right. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Maybe she's saying that, but it's and she's giving me a figure stood by your side. I don't like doing this in a physical sense, but it's there's a man who's struggling to speak. He passed over a long time ago, and it was a great loss to you. And she's bringing him through with a lot of love. I'm not getting a lot from him. I feel I'm moving on with the energy, but that's what she's just given me. Someone who's quite close, probably hasn't communicated himself, but she's bringing him through as well. And there's a lot of love there, and I'll leave her love with you. God bless you. It's definitely a mother energy today. I've got another lady with me. Okay. And if it's not mum, it's mum's mum. This really, really strong maternal line here. Okay. It may be mother. With this lady, I'm struggling to get my words out. She feels quite shy. Okay. She wants to take me to the lady with the white top and the red hair. Yes. Okay. So if this isn't mum, it might be mum's mum. Okay. And this lady, she's struggling to speak, all right? She's coming through with a lot of shyness, and I think she's being kind because she's saying you can be quite shy as well, and she's saying that you're cut from the same cloth. Would you understand this?
I'm not sure. One of them is still alive.
Right, okay.
So I'm not sure who it could be.
I want to go back then in the maternal line, okay? And as she's making me feel quite right. She's saying she's saying there's a real intelligence in the family, okay? And she's saying you're extremely intelligent and studious, and they're very aware of how much work you're doing. Do you understand this?
I'm here for work, yeah.
Right,
that's
okay.
why I'm
They feed me too much information. Right. But you're not just in the job for life. There's a complete constant progression with this job, right? And it's this mountain of books around you. Although I don't know if you've actually got the books, the internet's there, but that's what they're showing me. This mountain of books, and you late at night with a dim light. It needs to be a bit brighter, she's saying. And the hours are just passing away, and suddenly it's 4 a.m. and you're still awake and you should be asleep, she's saying. with this lady, I want to go back quite far because the opportunities that are there for you weren't there for her. Okay, and so it's, if only she could have proven herself the way you're proving yourself. Okay. As I was saying, proving myself, she's talking about bread as well. Do you bake? Have you got interested in making your own bread? Okay, I don't know. She's taking me back to that example earlier. Okay. Right. I'm not going to make it fit, but so this way of life and understanding, I don't think it's new to you as such, but it's like you're quite interested in it, but you haven't had that moment where it's all clicked together, she's saying. And she's saying it will come because you've got so much work to do, your mind's occupied so much. She's saying, good on you taking a break today, because otherwise you would still be working, wouldn't you? She's saying if it wasn't a bank holiday, you'd still be at it. But you know that... okay, she's saying tomorrow morning you'll be at it, even though it's a bank holiday. Right, okay. All right, okay, she's saying this in quite blunt language. She's tell them to wait a day or two. I don't know. Okay, I'm just giving it as she's giving it to me. I've just got, I think it's a Shakespeare quote, far from the madding crowd. I don't know what that means to you, I'm just giving it as she gives it. And there's a lot of love for you. I'm not getting a lot more from you. She wants to finish with that, far from the madding crowd. So you take that however you can, and I'll leave her love with you. God bless you. I have got a gentleman with me, and I've got this sudden. I want to clutch here for some reason. I don't know if it's the heart, but it's. He's giving it to me like it was a little more sudden than he thought, and he's one of these gentlemen who had the little niggling pains but didn't say anything, and then by the time he realised he wasn't well, he felt it was too late anyway. I do feel fatherly. But I don't quite know which side of the family I'm on, so it could be, I do feel like father. Okay, this has got quite difficult for me, because it doesn't feel like he's a good talker, like I was saying about the not going to the doctors, and suddenly he's got this clutching of his chest. And I want to come just to the ladies over there in the corner, I think the one with the blue, lighter blue top. Okay. This father energy, but it could be a grandfather, but would you understand father?
Never knew my grandparents.
Right, okay. So father energy. Okay. I don't quite know how he passed, but I've got this difficulty in speaking my mind and saying what I really mean. Would you understand that?
I've always cried, yeah.
Okay. As I'm blending with him and I'm seeing him, he's like losing his hair a bit on the top. It's thinned out. It's not bald, but it's thinned out a fair bit. Do you understand that with him? Okay. If I'm not with you, I might be in this line somewhere because I'm being drawn. Okay, you can take it, Mary. Would you understand why he didn't want me to just point you out? He's quite a shy man himself, and he doesn't want to draw too much attention, but...
I'm quite like that too.
Okay, right. And do you understand the clutching of the chest? Okay. And you understand the thinning of the hair, the slim build, quite smart but casual. I'm not seeing a tie on him very often, but in fact, the sort of shirt colour he's showing me is similar to the lady I've just gone to. Like, okay. So you always wear a very sort of maybe white or fairly sort of pastel coloured shirt and then grey trousers. Okay. Nice shoes.
Well, can I say, he's technically my granddad, but I call him dad.
Right, okay, so that's why I didn't quite know the father or father's father. Thank you for that. And the energy I've got with him is, again, it's similar in a way. If only I had said this, if only I had done more, and there's this failure to quite get his emotions across, but it's like there was a few things he wishes he'd said. Lovely things, I love you, you know, I've come to terms with myself and the way I was. But he was a gentle man, okay, and quite loving, but he felt the weight of conformity around him. You know, men are supposed to be a certain way, and he wasn't quite that way, so he went quiet.
He let my grand do all the talking.
It's sensible.
Yes, very sensible. Yeah. But there's this lovely feeling with him now. Obviously, in the spirit world, we heal, we grow, and he's relishing the opportunity to talk to you. And as I say that as well, this isn't the only opportunity he has to talk to you, obviously, but I don't know if you are involved in spiritualism in another way where you've had other communication from him or will do, yeah. Okay. And it's a joy because he's talking more now than he did in life. Okay. Oh, all he wants is a cuddle. He's a very sweet, gentle man, and he just misses that cuddle. I don't know if you've got like a teddy you could cuddle at home, but you know, he would love that. And I don't know if he gave you a little teddy as a child or something, while I'm being given this teddy.
I can't remember, but I used to bring teddies with me everywhere.
Right, okay. Because like, you know those big teddies you get, and like when you're a little kid, it's bigger than you are, and it's this big hug, and there's just so much love pouring out from him. It's like I'm trying to get evidence from him, but he's just giving me this emotional bond you have with each other, which, as he's making me feel, is actually growing in the spirit world. Because I get the feeling he was a very busy man, like working all the time, and then in the evening it was his chair, a book, and so he's kind of thinking, if only I just put the book down and engaged a little bit more. Okay. So I'm also getting a feeling you've got little ones around you that you go out your way to engage with, you know, and you're really spending a lot of time with them. Okay, I don't know if you're being asked to look after these children a lot more, but you're okay with that because you've got the time for it, and it frees up other people. It feels like he's around all the time when you're with them, you know, and it's just bringing a joy to your life. Okay, and he's saying you really needed it because he's telling me, I don't quite know what it was, but it's like a period of 5 to 10 years of, I don't know if it was an illness or a difficult time.
I had a head injury.
Right, okay.
And I didn't understand anything, so I couldn't like speak. I didn't understand anything that was said. It was literally blank.
Oh, bless. And he must have been very close to you at that time. Oh, that's what I'm feeling.
I always felt safe. I never felt like scared. So I speak to my brother.
Oh, lovely. I'm getting tingles all over as you're saying this. There's a lot of love and respect for you, and especially a blessing around these little ones. I'm going to leave his love with you. God bless you, and thank you for working with me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Now move on to the notices for the week. This coming Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we have one of our healing hour sessions. This is a time we do not employ any evidential medium. It's all about healing. It's spiritual healing, other practices of healing, and supported by the church registered healers. So if you're in need of that top up and relax and learn something new about a healing of aspect, we'd love to see you 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Thursday, we have Brian Walker with us with his monthly appointments for psychic surgery and psychic healing. There is one appointment left at 2:30 with Brian. Friday morning, we have our bereavement group. That is a time for people to come together. It doesn't matter where you are in your stage of bereavement. It doesn't have to be recent. It can be in the past. But if there's aspects of that bereavement path that you feel like I still want to try and work through this or make more sense of it, we offer that space where everybody is on their own individual and unique path of bereavement, but you can come together in that same energy of expressing that grief, talking to others and learning from others how they handle things, what they are finding. It's a brilliant supportive environment. So that's the doors open at 11:15. We do close the doors at 11:15 because once a group gets underway, it's a bit unfair to have people drift in and out. So that's this Friday. On Saturday daytime, 10 till 4, we have a workshop with Bill Rich. This is designed for people where you are working with your mediumship actively. So whether that be actively sitting in a development circle and making that connection with the spirit world, or indeed further afield working on platform or private sitting energy, you will find this workshop is tailored to your needs. Bill has got a fantastic wealth of information and he has various exercises lined up, including some cabinet work, which is not often available. So that is this Saturday. I think we have 3 spaces left at the moment. Cost of £35. That includes all the refreshments throughout the day, buffet lunch, cake in the afternoon, and morning pastries on arrival. But most importantly, it's an investment in your mediumship. Saturday night, Bill will be giving a demonstration of evidential mediumship. Doors will open at 6:15. The evening will commence at 7 o'clock. There is a charge of £8, which is payable either on the door on the night, or you can purchase a ticket through the Eventbrite link on our Facebook page. Bill is staying here over the weekend, so he will also be taking our Sunday service at 11 a.m. next Sunday. Huge thank you to everybody who helped out yesterday at the Ploughman's Lunch. It ran like clockwork. It was, thank you darling, it was just awesome, you know. I'm just amazed that our wonderful volunteers worked together in harmony, and they did the job of, I think, a professional caterer. The layout, the service, absolutely beautiful. The people that chipped in during the day, thank you, thank you, thank you. Serving teas, and this energy of this church is about community. It's about allowing people to give of themselves, and it just worked beautifully. So thank you, everybody. Quick reminder also, at this time, obviously, we're employing the use of printed hymn music to cut down. We must still be mindful about transmission risks. So we employ the use of the hymn sheets, as we do not pass around a collection plate, but I would draw your attention to the offering plate at the back of the church there, please. It is the contributions that are made regularly through our services that enable us to continue our services. So thank you. I will hand over to Stephen now for the closing blessing. Thank you.
Just like to join me in the silence for a few moments. Divine and gracious Spirit who we call God, our loved ones in the spirit world, guides and helpers, we thank you for being with us, inspiring us, protecting us and guiding us this morning. And we ask that you see us all home safely, that we can all indulge in the joys of Easter, that we can share with our family, friends and loved ones, and that we can all return again, blessed by the Spirit, the light and the healing that comes with the communication. Amen.
Amen. Stephen, I could not have asked for a better Easter Sunday service. Absolutely magic. And again, I will remind you, you can revisit this service on our Facebook page because there's so much information in that address. Beautiful. Before we all go, I'm spoiled today because I've got my 2 favourite little girls from Italy with us today. And they've been busy drawing, haven't you? Are you going to come up and show your pictures? Yeah, come on. I think they deserve a round of applause. There we go, show your pictures. Oh, look at that. Oh, we have a budding artist. Oh, look at that. Yay! Thank you.
Wish everyone happy Easter, but in Italian.
Yeah.
What's it?
Buon Natale. Oh, that's
No.
Christmas, isn't it?
It's Christmas. Pasca.
I'm shy, Marianne. I'm shy.
I'm not very good, but it's something like Bon Pasquale. Is that right? They always correct
Buona
me.
Pasqua.
That's
There
it.
we go.
Yeah.
Hey!
Well done.
Everybody,
Now I remember
have a
everything.
wonderful, wonderful
Go on,
Easter.
Just take these boxes.
Use this opportunity. We've all not contacted somebody for a while. You've got the perfect excuse today to phone somebody up and just say, Happy Easter, and relight that communication. And get out and enjoy the weather. Thank you all.